Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So we are back with another Battle of the Week battle replay with some Tier 7 Barbarian Wardogs submitted by Master Bates. And a slightly amusing name every time. Yes, so we're going to be taking a look at this as a replay. I quite enjoyed this one, so I thought this one was well worth putting out for us all to see, because it's kind of got some interesting stuff, particularly towards the end. It's a bit of a slow start. He obviously moves up from the start into this long grass here to take for the cover, because obviously no one can then see where he is or what he's doing, maybe in the hope that some cavalry was going to try and charge the archers, or to just maybe protect his archers. And yeah, but it's a bit of a slow start. So I thought in the meantime I would just bring up, I don't know how many of you are aware that I also do some Twitch streaming from time to time. We've got quite a few of you. We have a good few people turn up now, but if you don't know, I'm sort of kind of a bit sporadic on my Twitch streaming. There's no real structure to it. It just seems to happen randomly whenever I get a bit of spare time or the mood or something takes me. So yeah, be sure to follow me on Twitch. There should be a link to my Twitch down below, so if you follow that link and just follow me, then when I start streaming, when it's just a random time on a Thursday or something, then you should get a notification that I've started, and you can come along and say hello. So yeah, be sure to do that if you haven't already. So back to the battle. So yes, it's kind of just loitering in this grass. Some of the Roman infantry moved up, and this is what I was going to point out. Really interesting thing happened here. So let's just go to half time. Actually, let's pause entirely. This is completely irrelevant to Wardogs. This is actually going to be a point about archers, and it's something that I only learnt maybe a week or two ago, probably longer than that, actually a couple of weeks ago, when Total War Arena devs did an article on how archers work, how ranged weapon damage works. So these Scythian archers obviously outrange, particularly with snipe activated, these tier 6 Lesbos archers. But the Lesbos archers decide to take the fight, the first mistake being that they've blobbed up, and go for these guys anyway. But here's their second mistake. They've moved up to their just in range look and have stopped. Now how targeting works is it only targets units within your range. Even if part of a unit which allows you to attack is in, you'll see, look, you'll only fire up to your range. So where these Scythian archers here can fire and hit the whole of this unit of Lesbos archers, look, the arrows are landing right in the middle, so they're hitting a whole unit, devastating the unit. These Lesbos archers can only kill the first 10 people, maybe, of a unit of 100. See the difference? So it's what this Lesbos archer should have done is, well, one, probably not taken this fight, and ran away, but if he was going to take this fight, he should have moved an extra 10, 20 metres further forwards, and then he would have been able to shoot and hit the whole unit. So, there we go. It's just a slight sidetrack I noticed in this game. It's just a really well presented example of that, of how you need to get the whole unit in your sights if you want to shoot it, because otherwise you just end up doing no damage at all. Because look, that Scythian archer basically took any damage at all, and that's not just because it's a higher tier unit, that's because of the placement of those Lesbos archers. So, his team is now, partly because of that, immediately down. It's only 720 points to 830, not looking good. And while you can come back from these sort of things, they often don't in these sort of games. So, first thing he sees though over here are some tier 6 spearmen. A tempting choice. I would certainly be tempted by this. Clicked on the Miltiades. Absolutely perfect. Exactly what you want to be targeting. Really, dogs are super effective against these sort of guys, particularly if you can get an ambush on and you avoid things like their heavy thrust and stuff like that. And pikemen, even better, even more tempting target. It's absolutely perfect. Exactly what Wardogs are made to counter. So he starts to move up to this forest. Are they still in there? Yes, the dogs get the hit, go straight in, and you can sort of see the damage that they're taking. The dogs are really ripping these guys apart pretty brutally, but not actually much damage to the dogs, it looks like, which is absolutely great. Perfect counter. That is exactly the sorts of units you want to be targeting with your Wardogs. And looks like he's trying to keep his handlers out of trouble. He's got his ambush on, which means his dogs are immune to all strikes. So that's working well for him as well. Looks like some of these foot companions are pushing in exceptionally hard against these Romans. And I'm not entirely sure that whole hoplite phalanx is broken into a million pieces. It looks like his dogs are returning. He's got his rebellion activated. Is he going to go in with his infantry? Yes, he is. Uses his fury. Obviously, he's playing with Boudica. And straight into the back, and straight in with that rout. Nice job. That should be gone pretty quickly as a unit once the knockdown has got, all these models have got back up to their feet. They are dead. Excellent. So, where next? Good start, got a little bit of aggression on. Quite a few support points. I think he's got quite a lot of spots on some of the enemy units. Looks like he's moving into aggressive for a little bit of cover. Some enemy cavalry, some equites stand here. Got to be a bit careful of them. Look like there's some light artillery over there at the back of the map as well. Something else you've got to worry about. Obviously decides that this flank is not quite for him. Our suicidal Lesbos archers have decided to attack some cavalry while they're entirely on their own. So this poor Bates is bringing it back, coming back to base by the looks of it. Looks like we're being a bit threatened here by some Falksmen in our cap circle, but I don't foresee that being a long-term problem because talk about being isolated is in a really bad place. These Falksmen, they're going to get charged by some Greek cavalry. Ouch, painful. And Bates is bringing his dog back as well. Quite a bit of enemy cavalry kicking around. Oh, there goes those Lesbos archers. He's done quite well to avoid some of these enemy archer fire as well, because obviously you've got to remember Wardogs don't get a lot in terms of missile block chance. 26. Oh. And that's the handlers. I think dogs probably get even less. They get even really quite badly brutalised by range fire. So we just took a nasty hit from enemy artillery, which I think we know is somewhere around here on this map. Shooting at him. I think it's quite a low tier artillery we saw at the start of the game, so shouldn't hopefully be able to do too much, but still quite effective. So what have we got down here? Some Gungnir charges. These archers are obviously in danger. Bates moving in to offer a bit of protection for them. Looks like he's unleashed his dogs. Yes, he has. They are too far away though to lock onto a target. If you remember how dog pathfinding works, you select where you want them to end up, and if they go within a certain distance of an enemy unit, then they lock on and then sort of do what dogs do and attack. So he's sort of loitering around. None of these cavalry seem to be getting stuck into any sort of fights. You know, if those cavalry get engaged, then he could probably quite easily unleash his dogs. But this battle is still well against them. They're still 100 points down. But it's nice that most of their teams seem to have been able to fall sort of back to their base in sort of one clump, rather than getting split up into lots of different subunits where the enemies can pick them off. They're kind of quite well focused, and it looks like the allied infantry, including Bates, are doing quite a good job of looking after these friendly archers, which are kind of crucial at this sort of stage. Having access to a ranged unit is really quite important. Because what are they going to be doing? It is an ambioric, so they could go for a fight in the shade if they wanted the range really badly. But they're having quite an effective time against these Scythians, getting quite a lot of damage in. Nice job. Nice. So quite a lot of cavalry still on the enemy team. None of them really committing to anything. All just sort of loitering around getting shot at the moment, which is good. Starting to, well, bring the points slightly more in line, but there's still quite a way to go. Oh, painful hit from some of the enemy artillery there. Don't want to clump up too much. See some of the enemy cavalry moving around here on the flanks, perhaps going for a little bit of a sneaky moment, or attempting to anyway. Maybe not. What are they going to do? And we've got these enemy archers still here, these Scythians. Surprisingly resilient. They have such high body armor values, these guys. Yeah, 140, which is not bad for a tier 7. Makes them quite resistant. They seem to have done really well as a job in terms of staying alive so far this game. So, still pulling back. So this is where it gets into a bit of a slow game at the moment, but this is where games are won and lost in this sort of stage. You know, being impatient or making mistakes here is really often the turning point in this sort of engagement. And so I think it's actually a good move to play it carefully, protect your archers, keep everyone safe. Right, we have got a bit of an engagement breaking out. Some of the Falcons will have pinned down some of the Gungnir charges. Nice. Are they going to get a hamstring in? Yes, they are. Perfect. Is he going to go in with his dogs? Okay, the dogs are out. Are they going to be in range? Are they not going to lock on? Oh, with that one ratted, they're probably not going to lock onto these units. That's unfortunate. He calls them back. But those enemy Gungnir charges took some heavy losses there against the Falksmen. That's brought the scores a lot closer. Good job, Mr. Falksman, with his Dacian warriors. So some of the enemy archers are moving up. You know, rather bold stance going in there like that. Our allied archers are engaging. Is he going to go dogs in? He is not yet. He's hanging on to his dogs. I would be inclined to go dogs in, although we would be kind of going for the maximum range there at some point. Looks like these Scythians have not got quite such a long range as these Lesbos archers. They had to move forwards there, try and get the shots in. Okay, the dogs are in. But they've locked onto the cavalry rather than the archers, which is kind of a shame. It would have been great if they'd locked onto the archers and chased them. It's going to be kind of tough against a cavalry like this. He's not got ambush activated on his handlers at the moment, so the consequence of that is his dogs are going to be vulnerable to enemy strikes. And these cavalry are going to be a lot more effective against dogs than, say, those pikes we had earlier. But he's going straight in with his handlers. He used his fury to get in there. And he's used his other unit to catch these other unit of equites. Nicely done. And they're sticking into the fight there as well. And then as more units are turning up, this battle's really starting to turn into their favour now, because they're really able to push these equites quite easily, I think. Even though they're in oath of perseverance, it looks like they're going to actually rout. Wow, nice job. And his other unit here, making use of his slam, bringing in some of his dog backs as well to try and get some damage in. They've gone oathed as well. But, you know, the dogs are taking a lot of casualties, but they are quite effective against these cavalry. Can he get a slam in to try and stop these guys from escaping? Nice. Oh, he's got in. Yes, he's got the slam in. Look how much they slow down when they're oathed minus 40%, slam minus 50%, is a minus 90% movement speed modifier. And that spells the end of those cavalry. Nice job, Mr. Base. So that's really kind of starting to tip the balance now a little bit. And it looks like some of the enemy, like artillery, is being caught up. Our legions are caught in with these Roman infantry here. Is it a Sulla versus Vengeance? It is. You would be expecting the Vengeance to win in this sort of situation. As good as Sulla is, you know, he's not really one to be fighting Vengeance. This guy should pack up his light artillery, pull out his infantry, particularly as more support turns up. Okay, some enemy Velites turning up. So these tier 6 javelins are really quite effective unit. What is he going to be going to do? Well, you can't shoot those guys with the... Oh, watch out, you've got the dogs coming in. This is going to be good. He's certainly got those javelins. Oh no, I forgot about the Greek cavalry. What a charge. That was a really nicely set of ambush there by the Greek cavalry. Absolutely devastated those dogs. Not jobs. He's ruined the jobs for those dogs. Yeah, dogs took a lot of casualties there from those Greeks that are just obviously hidden in that long grass. Could see out, knew those dogs were coming, knew that they'd locked onto the javelins, but just waiting there and then got in the ambush. And look how many casualties they caused on those poor dogs. All the poor little doggies. So sad. But ultimately the Greek cavalry kind of lost that one and lost their lives. It doesn't really matter too much. Some stuff hanging back there. Looks like he was able to catch up with these javelins, who look like they almost just gave up at this point once they got caught and couldn't be asked to fight anymore. Get charged in with the fury, completely surrounded. There's no escape from that sort of situation. Just get absolutely butchered, and that's the key turning point for this enemy team. Catching and killing those javelins just absolutely destroyed them. It not only brought the score down, but that was their last sort of real tough opposition unit. If those javelins had been able to keep at range, they would have been able to cut down some of the Roman and, you know, these dog handlers really quite quickly. So that was a really good catch there. So we're moving on to the enemy artillery now. Is he going to fight these Roman infantry head on? They do have access to Vengeance, so you've got to be careful there. Loitering near the stakes kind of means the enemy infantry can't heavy infantry charge him in quite the same way. Oh, he's going for the charge. Ah, quite nicely done. By sort of that in-out action, he seemed to kind of get to the situation where this guy wasn't quite sure if he wanted to use his heavy infantry charge or not, and then he turned, got the fury in really quickly, and beat this guy to the charge. And getting an absolute ton of damage in early on. This guy's popped his Vengeance, so his damage is really starting to rack up now, so you've got to be careful. And there he goes. He goes in for the slam, which causes lots of knockdown so he can get out of the fight nice and easily, and then pulls out. It's like these heavy infantry are then engaging these legionaries more here, which is an understandable fight. Is he going to come back? Yes, he is. Oh, and he's going to get a lovely rear flank on these guys, I think. Charge! Oh, lovely. Gorgeous. Gets the rear flank, gets the surprise rear flank. I'm not quite going to rout. Oh, that's really unfortunate. I thought they were going to keep that surprise rear flank modifier, would have been enough to get them to rout. Come on, give them a modifier. Give them a morale flanking. There we go. There's the rear flank. And there they go. Routed. Nice. They should now be cut down really easily by the handlers and the dogs. Racking up an absolute ton of aggression points now. Goes to show these dogs aren't always that useless. And nice. That is really game, set and match. Killing off those last couple of Roman infantry really sealed the deal on this. And I guess they're just going to go to base now. See if they can get a couple of extra points. Let's stick it on to fast forward for a little bit. See if we can get a few extra cap points before the end of the game. Or they might run out on timer, actually, to be honest. There's probably not enough of them to cap out. They're all charging and getting themselves caught up in their own charges. And it's made it into base, and yeah, that is it. Nice ending to the game. He sends his dogs off to see if he can find anyone. Not to be, but that was a really nice game. I really enjoyed that. I was definitely surprised by that quick cavalry that charged out the grass, though, and got his dogs. That was an absolutely brilliant move. I was really quite impressed by that Greek cavalry. But yeah, goes to show how Wardogs can actually be quite a resilient late game unit. Really quite good at chasing units down. If you preserve your dogs to the later game, then that gives you a lot more flexible options. So yeah, I really quite enjoyed that one. So, hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Please subscribe to the channel for lots more Total War Arena content. We're really starting to get up there in subscriber numbers now. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, all the more the merrier. So be sure to subscribe. And thanks, guys. I shall see you all on the next video.